Okay, this is Andy Graham, and I'm in the library because it's one of the few places I can find that I can get a quiet room. Okay, they have these study rooms in libraries. Sometimes they have the really good ones will have like a whiteboard up there where you could actually bring in somebody, have a meeting, a business meeting, and then whatever. But today I'm going to talk about, I'm trying to coin the right phrase, but I haven't came up with it. I'm going to call it lounge learning. And I'm always trying to encourage people to learn. And I'm always also, it never stops bothering me that a lot of my friends really, they try to say they want to learn, but they really don't. Okay, they don't really like learning. Okay, and I understand the reason is quite simple: is that in high school, they pretty much tortured it right out of us. The idea of learning, our parents, our teachers, everybody tortured us. Okay, but I love learning because I never cared a crap about a teacher in my life, not even a college professor. I don't think I've only had like two teachers in my life that I had a lot of respect for. All the others, I was like going, "You're making me go so slow that I'm bored to death, and I'm going to sit in the back of the room and read books." The big thing that happened for me was I read books while I was all through high school. All I did is read books because that was the only thing I could get away with. Without getting in too much trouble with the teachers. Okay, I mean they really have. Even the dumbest teacher can kind of see that a guy or girl reading a book is what they want. Okay, I got in trouble one time because when they had these really cheap books, and I was a kid, I bought 27 books. And this teacher pulled me in like the principal's office and said, "Why are you buying 27 books?" I said, "I like to read, and you guys don't have enough books in kindergarten." I didn't. At grade school, we didn't have quite enough things. When I went to high school, yeah, we had plenty of books. But Robert Gowdy on the one side of me, my name began with J, so Tina Green was on the left and Robert Gowdy was on the right, and both of these guys were big readers, so they'd buy all these books and I'd read them all. Okay, it's just like my mom. I really didn't care too much on what I read. I just read it, mostly science fiction. Okay, but you have no time to learn, and this is what I'm going to talk about today is everybody has time to learn if they love to learn. The problem is something happens that the minute that you try to focus on learning, there's some sort of trauma here, okay? And I don't quite grasp it. I think it really needs a research, and I'm trying to keep that little bumper thing out of here. No, see that bumper? It's kind of tacky, right? But the reason why people don't like to learn is they were tortured in high school, and they were tortured in grade school. They were tortured with their parents. They were tortured, and all it was is a never-ending trauma scream. So it's like little micro traumas until they do it. I would think it'd be really a good research on pedagogy. Pedagogy is the study of how to teach or how to learn in a way. I am not sure they're separated, but pedagogy is the study of teaching. Okay, pedagogical theories on how to teach somebody. And I'm going to talk today about lounge learning. Lounge learning is, I get all my learning done in between work. Even when I was working 16 hours a day as a real estate broker and the owner of my own company, I spent a lot of time just learning. Most of my time was spent learning because you have all this extra time in between different things. There's just no way to actually stay busy all the time. I was talking to a gentleman today, and I said, the hardest thing when you have workers is that you have to allow a worker to kind of goof off and walk around and talk to other workers and do stuff about 15 minutes an hour on average. This is why people like the assembly line process in factories, is because they can put them on a machine and literally force them to work all day. Now, it probably just this monotonous memory, non-use of the brain thing probably just about kills their brain. I think it's a horrible thing to do to the brain, especially when you have to breathe all these fumes and chemicals in. But how do I lounge learn? Lounge learn is learning is contagious, okay? And the reason why it's contagious, I'm sure that 99% of you have some things, I mean, whether it's Kim Kardashian or right now Ben Affleck getting divorced from, I don't know what her name, Jolo or whatever her name is, Angela Jolene and Brad Pitt. Everybody has something they try to learn about, okay? And the goal here is to try to maybe get addicted to, and it's addictive, okay? I mean, the soap opera stuff is extremely addictive. So everybody's a continuous learner. They call it either a continuous learner or a perpetual learner. Ronald Navicott, there's a venture capitalist, and Charlie Munger, one of Warren Buffett's, partners or whatever, associates. Charlie Munger died, I guess, but they would get together with Naval Ravikant and talk about perpetual learning, because this is what makes a person rich, okay, is if they're never stop learning. Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger never stop learning. Why? Because they love to learn, okay, and it's what makes it. But see, there's subjects that you have to get hooked into. It's like, I'm always laughing at, I love Tom Clancy books after about the 200th page. Before that, they're just horrible. Then about 200 pages into these 800-page books, you can't put it down, okay? Because he sets up the context, and then once you get the whole story set up, you can't let go. But that's the same thing for learning. But how do you learn? I'm finding that here in the United States, it's unbelievably easy for me to watch at least, probably an hour and 30 minutes of YouTube videos that are I'm primarily focused on right now medical ones. I'm studying aneurysms because I have an aneurysm. Maybe I have an aneurysm. They told me I had a heart attack. I didn't have a heart attack. I had a heart blockage. Everything, I don't know. I'm studying everything so that when I go in, and I'm going to get a CAT scan tomorrow, and I'm going to know everything about aneurysms by the time I end up in the doctor's office here. There's really a thoracic surgeon or something, basically something to do with the vascular system, blood. He does surgery, so he does bypasses and thing. But I actually think an aneurysm is probably more dangerous. The more I study this, it's more dangerous than a heart attack, because when this thing bursts, you die with like in 10 minutes, right? It's like cutting your jugular or something. You just cut that, and boom, you're dead. Cut the one in your leg, you're dead, because you bleed out in minutes. Okay, but you want your children to have contagious learning, and it doesn't happen by you hollering at them or telling them or forcing them to sit there. You have to tempt them and hook them into this, okay? The way my mother did it was she had a Reader's Digest everywhere, and I don't know, you go in the toilet and you read Reader's Digest, right? Best place to read books. I now take my smartphone always into the toilet, because I think going into the toilet, the restroom in the United States and the toilet in Europe, they don't like the Europeans don't like it when we call it restroom. They say, we don't go in there to rest. Well, it's a polite way. It's colloquialism. Guys, relax. But that kind of pedantic correction of words is not learning. And this is one reason why people don't learn, is because you got these people constantly correcting you, okay? I was unfortunately probably that student until about age 10, when I got insulted back at Scott Fuller's house. And he made fun of me and mocked me and said, he's a know-it-all. And I shut up at that point. Actually, I still am completely traumatized by that. And I didn't hardly talk until I went to university. I mean, I did, but I wouldn't get into many conversations because I was so angry that people were angry that I wanted to learn. I didn't realize, nobody taught me how to be diplomatic, how to do that. They didn't say, Andy, you have to be charismatic when you're teaching and stuff like that. All my teachers were, listen to me, obey, do your homework. That's the number one way people teach, right? Now they're a little bit on the wanker side, where they just let students do anything they want, then probably put them on videos on YouTube and try not to teach them at all. Okay, but learning is contagious. You are addicted to watching something. I'm sure everybody that's watching this video is addicted to different topics and subjects. And that's good. And the more you study a topic, the more addictive it becomes. But how do you have the lounge learning? There's frivolous time in your day. Frivolous, extra, like driving a car. What I do is I take my smartphone. Hey, I happen to have two of them. I have two smartphones, but I take my smartphone and I go to YouTube. I put it on a YouTube video that's roughly the time at which I'm going to be driving, and then I hang it up on this thing. If I had a car of my own, I would do it all. I'd have it all special done, but I don't have my own car. So I hang it up so I can hear it, and I don't put on earplugs because I think it's dangerous to have on earplugs when you're driving. But then I listen to the thing as I'm driving there. I have to be real careful that I do all this setup. I mean, it's really dangerous because you have to set it up before you leave. And in the morning when it's dark, it's not good at all because it makes a light inside my car, which is, probably distracting to a bunch of the truck drivers with on the way. These truck drivers they drive like impatient little children. Okay, that's all I can say. But the impatient little children don't want to spend any more time alone than they have to because they really don't like to be alone. Okay, solitary confinement is a thing you put in prison, and all they got to do to reduce all the prison population is put everybody in solitary confinement, and nobody would go to prison. Okay, instead they let you make collect calls, give you Wi-Fi, give you 24-hour television, and a bunch of ding-a-lings to play euchre with, right? Oh man, there's nothing that difficult about jail. Okay, it's just really the hard part is you got to hang around with a bunch of people you'd never hang around with in your whole life. Okay, but there are like 1 in 50 that are incredibly sociopath smart. Okay, but the point is this: is we have to find a way. There's tools. And I'm going to tell you that the hard thing here is when like TikTok, these YouTube shorts, and all these things. All they are is in a way to weave you and point you towards something that's going to make you pay. Okay, so you can't those videos are not really that educational unless you can somehow stay only on Jordan Peterson or Elon Musk, and it's very difficult because they're always going to whack in that girl picture with her wiggling her butt. I'm always laughing because they come out of everywhere. But we got to have different things to learn. Where can you do this? You can drive in a car. You can lounge and watch movies. Movies can be very educational if you choose the right movie. Like my sister was watching Mission Impossible last night. That has some real high-tech things in there and can be educational. How many things do you want to learn in an hour? I think the average person ought to maybe learn a couple things in an hour. They ought to be aware of a couple things, and they ought to try to understand stuff. Coffee shops. I make a constant tour of coffee shops. I've been in every McDonald's coffee shop within 50 miles of here, and I stop in there. I say hi. I set up my computer. I watch movies. I write. I do all sorts of stuff. In bars in the United States, when I was living in Fort Wayne, I went to the bars absolutely every night of the week. And what did I do? I learned from a lot of these business guys different things that were happening in the city. And so that's valuable information if you're a real estate broker. I mean, coffee shop, sitting at that bar with all the things. So many people have never, ever in their life became part of a coffee club that they don't realize these things are educational. I go to one in the morning. I'm not going that much more right now because they're all hooked on doing lottery tickets, and that's just not a thing. But you have to choose your topics, right? But when they get off, everybody's going to get off track or whatever. Going to parks, a lot of people want to go to parks and sit around and look at the sky and try to relax. And instead, I would recommend they go there and maybe just learn. I just sit and watched an hour and 60 minutes of YouTube videos. Okay, maybe I ought to call them a podcast. I listen to them like podcasts. I was sitting in the sun. I put castor oil on my whole body, added a little bit of coconut oil, and I just bought my first bottle of castor oil. It took me a lot of work. Had to buy it on Amazon. When I was working as a real estate broker, I had to stand in line a lot for like in places. So I would always be reading a book while I'm doing it, waiting in line. I always arrive early. To me, anybody that arrives 1 minute before some appointment or someplace they're going is an idiot. Okay, idiot. I will call anybody that arrives 1 minute before they arrive an idiot, because they don't understand that you're basically, your first impression of you is everything, and the first impression is that you've got half measures. You're never going to be doing a great job at anything you do. People that arrive 1 minute before are never going to do a great job. Don't get me wrong. There's executives that time is so valuable they really have to squish the appointment times. But I always arrive early, and I always have a book on my phone where I can read it. And when you walk your dog, this is what seems to, there's two ways that people call me: when they're walking their dog or they're driving their car. Okay, walking your dog, I think, ought to be. I'm very concerned about the sexual nature of having dogs as intimate friends. There seems to be some real confusion here. But I'm definitely never going to date a woman with a dog. Okay, I have trouble even tolerating my friends with dogs, male friends. I used to read or listen when I was on the treadmill walking for an hour in the gym, like 25 years ago. I used to go to the gym every day. Gym's a great place to sit there and listen, but I really think you should also be extremely sociable in the gym. Never let learning interrupt the possibility of having interface or relationships with friends, because those are the friends that keep you coming. The friends are the reasons why we do what we do. Most everything is sociable, and if you don't want to talk to anybody because you're too busy learning, you should go home and stay home. Okay, I have no use for people that don't want to talk to people, because they're destroying the culture of the United States. So what do I watch? I watch long videos. I try to get a video that's at least an hour, but anything 30 minutes or an hour is these things I do. Don't get me wrong, if I'm sitting there, it's hard to watch a video when you're standing in line that's only like 15 minutes or 10 minutes or TikTok or anything like that. It's better to be reading something. So at that time, I would be going through my app and looking at all the world news. I do a lot of the world news when it's just really a waste of time. World news is probably the worst possible thing that you can study or realize or read or do anything with, because it's just a time glut that's just meant to try to get you to buy stuff. It's there to make you angry, and that's why it's contagious. You get a rush. It's the same thing as fighting with your wife. Your wife fighting with her husband. It's contagious because you get an emotional rush. But I think you should learn about two important things an hour. If you're doing some activity and you don't learn 2 important things an hour that actually make you a better person, now be careful on that. If doesn't make you a better person, you shouldn't be doing it. Okay, so driving down the road, spacing out, and doing it. I often realize that the people that get on these 2-hour trains going to New York City, they read a lot and they study a lot, and some of these guys become the highest educated doing it. I mean, if I was going to be a stockbroker in New York City, it'd be very, very tempting to be on a train for 2 hours there and 2 hours back. That way I'd get all my thing. I need about 7 hours a day of learning, okay? And that makes me happy. Even when I worked, I got about 7 hours of learning, but I always wake up at around, 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. Right now I'm waking up at 3 o'clock a lot. But you got to capture the ideas. Learning that isn't captured is, in my opinion, not learning. I was telling Johnny Miller, I always remember, this guy's name just baffles me. In the TV show Elementary, the guy name is Johnny Miller. He was married to Angelina Jolie for a while. One of the first wives. I mean, Angelina Jolie, this is anybody that marries her, I think she's, Brad Pitt, come on, grow up. why'd you marry this woman? She's not a good person. But the point is that I don't care how gorgeous they are, okay? But Johnny, I do know that he spells it Jonny. He's the guy in elementary, and when I watch a film, one of the things I do is, or watching a video, anything I'm doing, if a certain term is spoken, I say it out loud. I stop the video. I hit Control, I hit K on a computer, on a Mac, no, on a PC computer. You hit K on YouTube and it'll stop it and pause it. Then I hit K to start it again. But I say the word out loud. If I really want to learn it, I think it's just like a Spanish word. When I hear a Spanish word or somebody's name, I start repeating it to myself. Then I start, I repeat it about 5-10 times. Then I write it down. Then I write a magnetic cue. Then I try to use that name with that person or that word with the person, or I use that word in a sentence. This is the ordeal of learning, okay? But lounge learning is always learning it when you have extra time. I kind of suspect that some people could learn while they're cleaning the house, but what do? They always choose these videos that are either news videos or just total, non-productive videos, like the soap operas. The soap opera world takes up the mind of the small person. My mom was a big soap opera person, but she also read like one book a day, right? And she'd read any kind of book. But she had a lot of knowledge. On the other side is, I don't think she actually ever used the knowledge, so it was really lost. Because if you don't apply knowledge, you don't interact with the knowledge, you don't try to use it. Good. But I'm always collecting ideas too. So if somebody spins off an idea, I pick up my phone, I open up Google Sheets, I add the new idea into the database, and then I keep going. Or I go into Google Keep and I write it down. Or if I'm really pressed, I write it down with a pen and paper. A person that doesn't have a pen or paper, a way to keep notes, cannot be very smart. Okay, I mean, you want to know if your doctor's smart, say, hey, take down my phone number, please. And if they look at the nurse to do it, you might have to worry, because the actual person wants to know how to retrieve that number, okay? I don't want to let somebody else, I never let a secretary or anybody, I had secretaries, but I didn't let them capture knowledge, because they throw it in a place where I can't find it. How to do it. But capture ideas and whatever. But if you fall in love with learning about subjects that are beneficial, like right now I'm trying to figure out how to I'm trying to figure out how to make a tiny home about 400 square foot. And I stop in different places. I've been to a lot of lumber yards, and I'm putting together, and I'm probably gonna make an off-grid house. It's not going to be connected to the grid. You're not going to have a monthly payment on anything except maybe to the association that owns it. It's possible we probably have backup electricity, and then we distribute it to these houses. There's a lot of laws here that are built to force you to pay utilities, okay? And a lot of them, I mean, they're insane. They really want you to pay monthly. They want you to be a monthly. It's just like right now they're trying to put me on the monthly payment plan for my medical stuff. I don't know what to say. I am kind of worried though about this aneurysm. I was much more worried about that aneurysm now than I am the heart attack, because when that thing burst. So I'm going to get a conclusive type CAT scan. A CAT scan is an X-ray, and it does a multiple thing, and it creates a three-dimensional view of something. So somehow it does a rotating thing on it, then it makes it three. But I also bought a heart so I can take it to the doctor and say, hey, point at this. Don't just act like I'm supposed to nod my head. They're not teachers. Doctors do not want to teach you. They want you to listen and obey. And that is not Andy Graham, okay? I'll never forget when Yvonne, the last time we broke up, I asked this woman to marry me. She says, Andy, I can't marry you. I can't control you. Almost every girl that I ever dated, I can date them up to the point where they suddenly hear me say no. And they go, I've learned there will always come a time when they want me to do something and I'll just say no. and they'll get so angry. And this is a control freak. Anybody that won't allow another person to say no to them is a control freak. Don't get me wrong, there's ultimatums in a relationship. Most of these things are about buying stuff. Last girl told me she wanted me to go to Dallas and buy a 3-bedroom house, and I said, no. It was hilarious. Okay, but capture ideas. So you got to make a list of places that have extra time where you're bored. So if you know the extra places where you're bored, you can insert the learning of knowledge with listening to YouTube videos on educational topics. You have to have these topics ready to go. And I have right now on my both my channels, I have a sunbathing one where I put the long videos that I can listen to. And I'm actually using this. I'm finding that inside the United States, because the internet is so bad. I mean, I'm used to high quality internet. Inside the United States, it sucks. Okay, and let's see, where's that program? It's called, oh, come on, sorry about that. It's 400 something, or download 400. There it is. There's a program that'll actually download YouTube videos, and it seems to work inside the United States, outside the United States, if it'll load. And
Who wants to talk about divorce when you get engaged and that's not the goal? Hi, I'm Kelly. I'm 38 years old and I'm a realtor from
my
Atlanta.
phone
He actually
takes
brought it
off.
up on our engagement
Stop it.
softly and, as a manner of protection for...
Okay. But there's a program called 4K Video Downloader. And I highly recommend, if you're especially going to travel rich, if you're going to travel around the United States, you're going to be a truck or whatever, just go into a Wi-Fi and download like hours of, you can download from YouTube, and you can watch even movies, right? Or listen to movie in podcasts, and you don't have to have an ongoing Wi-Fi. So you can save on, there's times when the internet just sucks inside the United States. So I'm trying to get to the point where I'm loaded up all the time with videos that I can put on my phone and listen to, and then I got 2 or 3 phones, right? And I could download them, put them on my phone, then open them up in VLC or whatever, and then just listen to them, okay? I do have a problem that I haven't solved, is I need to turn the screen off on my YouTube video while I'm listening to it. And I'm thinking, I found a program that'll do it, but it's just too onerous to use. It's got to be just one click and do it. Okay, but download a bunch of videos, have educational, but choose your topics. Do you know your 10 greatest interests in life? Do you know what subjects you care about? I care about tiny homes. I care about my health and supplements and vitamins. I care about real estate. I care about internet websites. I don't really care much about them anymore, but I care about many different subjects, and I care about how to communicate. I got my 5 C's book I'm writing. I've got different books that I'm writing always. I got a collection of dysfunctional behaviors. I'm going to have a collection of all the sayings in AA. I go to AA, right? I've been sober for 37 years. So I've been collecting dysfunctional behaviors, because people say, Andy, you're dysfunctional. And I go, can you be more specific? So now I got a way to be extremely specific. And one of the great things about dysfunctional behavior, they're always in contrast. It's like controlling, not controlling. There's always a balance between them. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Try to figure out how to be a lounge learner, and you can be one of the smartest people. If you can teach your children, help not teach your children. That's the wrong word. If you can guide your children into being tempted to become learners, continuous learners, they can do anything. Okay, because a continuous learner is never stopped by waiting for somebody to show them how to do something. I will go and learn. Like right now, I'm learning every possible thing on thing. And thank you, the one doctor who keeps writing me explaining about aneurysms and stents and bypasses. Scary stuff. But life is good, and if I die tomorrow, I lived a good life. And that's why continuous learning is a good thing. It's going to give you the freedom to love life. Okay. To live life, you have to strive to be alive. Okay, I'm Andy Lee Graham. Become a Patreon, then you can communicate with me easy.